Hey Cowboys Nation! Today we are diving into the offseason and the players the Dallas Cowboys should be chasing. When free agency officially opens, we are not doing the usual top 25 list. Instead, I'm going to give you 30 names, because we're going to cover 5 options at each of the biggest needs for this team: running back, offensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker, cornerback, and safety. Those 6 positions are going to define the Cowboys offseason, depending on what they decide to do in free agency. And yes, there are a lot more names than just the 5 at each position, especially at linebacker and defensive end. The pool is pretty deep, at least compared to other positions. We will have bigger, more detailed lists by position later on, so keep that in mind. I'm focusing mainly on bigger names, not the kind of bargain depth moves you usually see when people expand their lists. I'm not including the crazy cheap options that would only make sense if you were building a roster with a ton of depth signings. This list is about players who could realistically start or make an immediate impact, and if you want the Cowboys to actually spend money in free agency for once, I want to hear it. Show your support by dropping a comment and letting me know you're ready for them to open up the wallet. If the Cowboys want to make a statement, they have to take advantage of the market, not just sit back and hope their draft picks magically solve every issue. Let's start with running backs. And the first name on the list is Breece Hall from the New York Jets. This is a player who might be trying to get out of New York this offseason, and honestly, he could end up being the best available running back on the market, even ahead of Javonte Williams. Hall has had his career held back a bit by the supporting cast around him, but when you watch him play, you can see the talent. He has long been linked to teams that need a true feature back, and I think he's going to end up near the top of a lot of teams' wish lists. If you're looking at the running back market in general, I actually like it more than people realize. There are some solid names that could fit what the Cowboys are trying to do. Travis Etienne is one of those guys, and we've talked about him before. He might not be as explosive or efficient as Javonte Williams was in his best moments, but Etienne brings consistency. He has multiple seasons with over 1,000 rushing yards, and that kind of production is valuable if you want a back with a little more juice and a bigger playmaking element. Etienne is the guy. Another name that comes up is Kenneth Walker, and there's a chance he ends up back in Seattle, especially after the unfortunate injury to Zach Charbonnet in the playoffs. Walker has had a strong season, surpassing 1,000 yards despite some injury history in previous years. Seattle's run game hasn't always been efficient, but they have been committed to running the ball, and Walker still found a way to be productive. Even without heavy goal line usage, he had a strong year, and that kind of toughness is exactly what you want in a lead back. J.K. Dobbins is a name that's been on the radar for a while now. The biggest question with him is always the same: can he stay healthy when Dobbins is on the field? He's a very good player. The problem is he's rarely on the field. He missed a lot of time this season and had minimal action in 2023 and 2022. He looked great before he got hurt, and that's the kind of talent the Cowboys could benefit from if they believe they can manage his workload and keep him healthy. From a cost and skill perspective, he's a compelling option if you lose Javonte Williams and need a replacement who can still produce at a high level. Now, if you're thinking about how Tyler Allgeier fits into this, it's a fair question. He's been doing a lot of the outside zone stuff in Atlanta's offense, but he has shown he can be better when he's not locked into that scheme. Strangely enough, Allgeier has had seasons where he was very efficient. Then the next year he was less effective. He has been inconsistent, but he also has the type of skill set that could be useful if the Cowboys get priced out of the Javonte Williams market. And make no mistake, the Cowboys are going to try to re-sign Williams first. That should be the priority, but if it doesn't happen, Allgeier could be a cheaper option that still offers some value. And just to be clear, I'm not even going to get into the receiver market here. We all know what's going to happen with George Pickens. He's likely getting tagged, and that's the end of that conversation for now. But if you had to name a free agent that is not currently on your team, who would it be? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's see what the Cowboys Nation is thinking. Moving on to offensive tackles. And this is a position that becomes a lot more concerning if the Cowboys cut Terrence Steele. Right now, that spot is not as fun as you might hope. Braden Smith is a name that comes up immediately. His overall grades are almost identical to Terrence Steele's. He might be slightly better in pass protection, but he's not as strong as a run blocker. The bigger concern is age. He's getting up there, And offensive line play tends to decline quickly once you start seeing those years stack up. Another option is Jonah Williams, who has ties to Clayton Adams from their time together in Arizona. Williams was not very good this year, but the entire Cardinals' offensive line struggled without Adams, and maybe he can be fixed. The bigger issue is his injury history. He has battled injuries in recent years, and that kind of risk is hard to take when you're trying to fill a starting tackle spot. In free agency, Cam Robinson is another name that could come up, but he has turned into more of a journeyman. He has bounced around the league a lot, and this past season was rough for him. The constant switching of teams might have hurt his performance. He's a swing tackle option at best. And if you're looking for a reliable starter, he's not the ideal choice. Then there's Trent Brown from the Houston Texans when healthy. He has been a solid player. The problem is health. Over the past 3 years, he has played almost the same number of snaps as Terrence Steele played in just one season. That is a red flag. You can't build a foundation on a tackle who might not be available week to week. Kelvin Beachum is another option, but he's essentially a slightly worse version of Jonah Williams. This is the problem with offensive line in free agency. There aren't many great options. You do not want to be desperately searching for a starting tackle in free agency because those guys rarely hit the open market. If you cut Terrence Steele, he might still be one of the 2 best options available. That tells you how dicey this position group can get. Now let's shift to the defense. And this is where the list gets interesting. The first defensive end I want to talk about is Trey Hendrickson. He is one of the bigger names in free agency, and his market is a bit unclear because of injuries. That seems to be a common theme for edge rushers these days. When healthy, Hendrickson has been great, recording 17.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons. Then he had a down year due to injuries, and that raises questions. He is also getting older, so he might be looking for a 1-year prove-it deal. If you are willing to take that risk, he could be a strong pairing alongside a player like Dorrance Armstrong if the Cowboys bring him back. Jalen Phillips is another name that has been linked to many teams. The Eagles acquired him at the trade deadline, and I don't think we have seen his best version yet. We have seen flashes of what he can do, and when he is at his best, he is disruptive, dynamic, and productive as a pass rusher. The issue is consistency and finishing. Sometimes he creates pressure, but it does not always turn into sacks. He is young, and if his medicals check out, he could command a significant contract. That might be too rich for the Cowboys given their cap situation. For more veteran options, you have players like Khalil Mack. I'm not sure how much longer he wants to play or how much he has left in the tank, but if he plays a full season, he could still produce 5 to 7 sacks. He is one of the more consistent players in the league, even if he is not going to replicate the monster season he had in 2023. But he could be a stabilizing presence, and given the Cowboys need an edge rusher, that kind of reliability is valuable. Joey Bosa is another mercenary-type option, but health is the big concern. The good news is he has played more games in recent seasons, but the sack numbers have not improved, and that is worrisome. Still, bringing in a veteran edge rusher for 1 year to stabilize the position while you draft a younger player makes sense. Someone like Quinnen Williams from the Colts could fit that mold. He is a former early-round pick who has had some productive seasons. This year was a bit down for him in terms of tackles for loss and sacks, but he has shown he can be a difference maker if you can get him for a reasonable price. That would be a valuable addition. There are plenty more defensive ends we could discuss, and we will go deeper into that in future episodes. For now, the bigger question is how many new starters does the Cowboys defense need? That is something I want you to weigh in on, because if the answer is a lot, then free agency becomes even more important. Now let's move into the linebacker market. And this is where the Cowboys might have the biggest opportunity to upgrade. The first name that jumps off the page is Devin Lloyd from the Jacksonville Jaguars. This guy had a breakout year and his stock absolutely skyrocketed. The tackle numbers might not tell the whole story, but the quality of those tackles did. He was excellent in coverage, and he made plays in the right areas. When you watch him, you can see the instincts and the football IQ. The Jaguars were right to turn down his 5th-year option, but now they're probably regretting that decision because he has been so good. The franchise tag is too expensive, so the Jaguars will try to keep him, but he's going to demand a contract in the neighborhood of $15 to $16 million per year, maybe even more. That kind of money is not easy to justify unless you are absolutely sure he is a foundational piece. Next up is Quincy Williams from the New York Jets. I've joked before that he is already a Cowboy, because it just makes so much sense. His time in New York ended poorly this past year, with a lot of drama and some major issues, but he has been highly productive in the past, and his skill set fits what the Cowboys need. His brother plays for Dallas, and the Cowboys have a huge need at linebacker. If the money is right, Quincy Williams could be a Cowboy in March, because that is how the Cowboys operate. They often go for the familiar name or the guy who fits the profile they like, and Williams checks a lot of those boxes. Key Walker is another big name in this linebacker market. He was a first-round pick and he's been a consistent tackler, but I thought he took a step back this past season. He did miss a game or two, and the Packers linebackers as a whole seem to regress. The team also lost their linebacker coach, and I think that affected the unit. Walker is still extremely athletic and he will have interest, but you have to ask whether he is trending up or down. The Cowboys will have to consider whether he fits their scheme and whether he is worth the price that comes with a former first-round pick. Alex Singleton is a name that might make more sense depending on who the Cowboys hire as their next defensive coordinator. He's a linebacker for the Broncos, and there are several Broncos linebackers who could be on the market. Singleton had an outstanding year with 135 tackles and he stayed healthy. When he's healthy, he is a tackling machine. That is a valuable trait, especially for a team that needs someone who can run to the ball and make plays consistently. The question is whether he fits the scheme, and whether the Cowboys can get him at a reasonable price. Eric Wilson is another option, and again, the fit depends heavily on the defensive coordinator. He played for the Vikings this past season and has also played with the Packers. He has been somewhat of a journeyman, but he has made an impact. He had 17 tackles for loss, which is impressive, and that kind of production can make you stand out. The Vikings' defense was not great this year, so he didn't get a lot of attention, but he is clearly instinctive and aggressive. If the Cowboys want a player who can make plays behind the line of scrimmage, Wilson is someone to watch. Now let's talk about the bigger question. Do the Cowboys trust their own free agency strategy? This is where opinions really diverge. Some fans are skeptical because the Cowboys have not always been successful in free agency, and the spending has sometimes been inconsistent. Others believe that this offseason is different because the needs are clearer and the market has more realistic options. The Cowboys have to decide whether they want to be aggressive or conservative. They have the talent on the roster, but they need a few key additions to make this defense and offense truly competitive. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are growing loud around the league, and the corridors of the Cowboys headquarters feel unusually charged. According to sources close to this situation, a bombshell rumor is gaining traction. Stephon Gilmore could be on his way back to Dallas, not merely as another experienced piece, but as the unquestioned leader of the defense. While nothing has been officially signed, the speculation alone has already stirred excitement and debate among fans and analysts. Gilmore's previous stint with the Cowboys left a strong impression. His presence brought calm to the secondary, his football intelligence elevating those around him. Now, the idea of his return is being framed as more than a reunion. It is being discussed as a strategic reset. The belief circulating in league circles is that Dallas wants a defensive identity, anchored by authority and experience, and Gilmore fits that profile almost perfectly. Those familiar with the locker room dynamics suggest that the Cowboys are searching for a commanding voice, someone who can align talent with accountability. Gilmore's reputation as a professional who leads by example has only fueled the narrative. Even at this stage of his career, many insiders insist his understanding of offensive schemes and situational football remains elite, making him a natural extension of the coaching staff on the field. ESPN's confirmation that talks and internal discussions exist has only intensified the rumor mill. While the franchise remains silent, the silence itself is being interpreted as meaningful. Around the league, rival teams are watching closely, aware that a Gilmore-led defense could immediately shift the balance of power. For now, it remains speculation, but in the NFL, rumors often precede reality by only a thin margin. If this move materializes, it would signal that the Cowboys are betting on leadership, experience, and defensive authority. Until clarity arrives, Dallas fans are left to imagine a familiar figure returning, not just to play, but to command. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.